Today I'm here to talk about the one controversial book in the Jim Butcher Dresden Files series, Ghost Story. This happens right after Changes, so you're here, you're expecting a lot right after Changes, and after you've read that, like, your heart's kind of hurting, everything is just blurry, the world around you, you don't know what's happening anymore. So you need to pick up Ghost Story ASAP. And just a warning, I'm gonna have spoilers, so click off if you haven't read it yet, or if you just want to spoil it, go ahead. So Ghost Story, I think it really starts off kind of slow and kind of confusing. He's going back to, so Dresden's a ghost. Like, after he died and Changes at the very end, he turns into a ghost. And I heard that this was what the story was going to be about before I knew that Dresden died and everything, so I kind of put two and two together. But I did not expect this. And the one thing that I really liked about Ghost Story is how we found out how Harry died in the last book, and I was shocked, and I felt so bad. Oh. So that was my favorite part about this book, along with just how the ghost spirit world really works however the person who's in it wants it to work. Like, ghosts, oh, they can't do magic. Well, Harry does. He wanted to, and he did it. Oh, ghosts can't touch anything. They can't, like, become back human, however you say that. Harry did. He just does because he needs to save people, and he has to go through certain steps to do that. So even after he's dead, he's still saving people, and he's still doing his job that he was doing when he was alive. Which I find hilarious because there's so many jokes about it in this book. Harry can never catch a break. He wants peace, possibly, until he hears that his friends are threatened, and he goes to the ghost realm, and he sees them, and how the world has turned to crap. Chicago is being taken over by, like, the former, which isn't completely explained in this book, which I wish it was a little bit more, but I know it's gonna happen in the next book that I'm currently in, Cold Days. And they're, like, running Chicago, murdering children, pets, like, on the streets all the time. And then Marcone, he's teamed up with Murphy and the whole gang, and they've created, like, this stronghold right where Harry's house used to be, and that was sweet. I could not believe Butters in this book. Butters has stepped it up. He was pretty cool, but now Waldo is just getting so funny, and he's got guts. He did really well, like, in the fights, when before he was pretty scared during Deadbeat, and he didn't believe in himself very much, but now he's like, I cannot wait to see more of Butters, because he's so interesting and funny, and Butters has Bob. Oh my, that dynamic, that made this story live. This book, so after Changes, I was really hoping that people would get some closure, people would get some relief, but seeing Murphy and seeing Molly and what it's done to them, Harry's death, well, they think that he's dead, even though it wasn't pronounced until they saw his ghost. It's like tearing them apart. Molly is this deranged rag lady who's trying to keep the whole city safe by not being friends with anyone and allying with Leanne de Sidhe, which, she's getting really good training in, which I love to see Molly getting stronger so she can protect herself. But you can see how she's being torn apart by how much she loves Harry and now that he's gone, and Murphy as well. She lost her job as the police sergeant, and it's gone downhill. Like, she's become more violent and on edge, and she has a lot of people to protect even though she doesn't have a badge. Harry finally realizes a lot about what he did for the world and who his enemies were. He had a lot of enemies. He has a lot of enemies. And this book really showcases what it would be like without him. But again, the start is just slow. Towards the end, it's pretty cool because there's a lot at stake. You know, him being already dead, he could be more dead. And there's an evil Bob who almost kills Harry, but also wants to recruit him. So that was weird. And then one of the past villains is the main villain in this one, because she's dead and she's coming back. The corpse taker trying to take over more bodies and come back to life. So she's kidnapped Morty, the ectomancer, and trying to use his body. Morty's pretty funny. He's kind of a wimp, but he gets better towards the end. And he has this ghost gang all around him, and Dresden finds out so much more about the spirit world, which he really did not have any input on before. Like, he could barely tell Molly anything, and if he had to deal with the ghost, he would go to Morty. Now, I think that this was a good transition after changes, because then we're gonna jump right back into the usual heist, everyone wants to murder you, the world's gonna blow up stories. And it's not your typical ghost story. Like, he's not shoving things around and taking up people's bodies. Like, it gets kind of frustrating for him and for the other characters since he cannot communicate super easily or help out really easily. There's a lot of times where he's like, I need to help, but he just has to stand there. Overall, I think Ghost Stories was a good transition. And it did cover a lot of ground that we didn't already know. Like, it really expanded the world as we know it. And we got to see a whole new side of a lot of the people that we've seen before, which was super interesting. Bob and Morty and Molly and Murphy, which I really hope those get figured out a little bit more. Again, I'm still in Cold Days right now, so I haven't finished the series yet, but I'm cruising through. This was a slower read for me, just because the action pack was more towards the end, and it wasn't as fast-paced because Harry didn't have that much to lose, and he couldn't do too much until the end when he figured out he could use magic. But obviously, continue the series. I'm dying to know what happens next, especially since he comes back to life on the island, Demon Reach. And that's it for Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files Ghost Story review. Hope you like it.